Welcome to Season 2 of Why Your Business is Invisible Online. This season, we focus on the dramatic change artificial intelligence is having on your online visibility. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
Hi, this is Jim Filatico. I'm currently obsessed with planning my next beach adventure for my whole family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs. We're talking about AI this season. I'm wondering, can I get an AI agent to clean my house?
And I'm your host, John Manatis, still glued to my guitar, but with my new band planning our next tour. So I'm going to pick up on that point because I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a lot of these CEOs and business leaders who are now in the middle of making all these decisions. And we've said it earlier, the traditional SEO playbook really doesn't apply as much as it used to anymore. It's definitely evolving. Is it fair to say that the keyword approach to SEO is dead, or should we still be doing that? Like what I'm hearing you say earlier was, even on my website now, I should probably be putting charts in there that have comparisons in them. Something I would see more often with pricing tables. So this, this person has a price, or feature tables that would show my competitors right on my website, and it's right there in front of you for AI to just pick off and put in their answers. And FAQs have been talked about, obviously, but in general, is the keyword approach dead, or would you say, or how should it evolve?
All right, I'll reverse engineer this.
Okay.
Keywords matter because they were kind of a simplification of what that content was about.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
That's fair. That is fair.
That if I put life insurance there, as my keyword, or best life insurance as my little cluster of keywords, is that you would expect it to have a comparison of the best life insurance. Fair?
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. Yep.
Right. So AI takes that a little bit further because, it can interpret the meaning of, more of the text and say, does this answer that query, that prompt, more or less than another piece of content? So, so it's kind of like, forget about keywords mean something, but all the words around it mean more. Okay. So, so I would argue keywords are important if they reflect the meaning of the content and they reflect the intent of the search. That, if I want to compare things, that's the, am I ready to buy? Is it an event that's coming up? To think about, it's almost like, there's a thing called foveal vision, are you familiar with it? Where you tunnel vision, so you don't see the periphery.
Right.
And that's like what keywords research, a keyword is like foveal vision. It's just targeted on, optimized for this keyword, stuff it, find different semantic reasons of it and that sort of stuff is where, AI in search has a more peripheral sort of approach to it. It can see around that word, and so it's looking at it more contextually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still going to use it.
It doesn't mean that it's important.
Yeah.
It just means that everything around it is as even more important.
Yeah. So let's kind of put that in play, because I know for me, a lot of my clients still, we have a good book of business around showing up for the blue links. We do, right? And so when I think about, a lot of companies are still focused on like Google searches. However, the smarter companies, I think, are starting to think about, well, then what does it mean to show up in some of the generative search like ChatGPT? And I'll actually give you a story. So WSI started, it was right after the launch of ChatGPT. Jim and I don't know, Seamus, were you with WSI then when we went to Cancun? Had you joined?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was
You're just
I wasn't at the event, but
okay,
yeah.
okay. And so, so they started talking about AI, and a lot of times we meet every Friday, and we kind of go back and when we told John like AI is going to change the world, like we have to change our entire business model.
Mm-hmm.
And you really felt it. It was like a huge shift. It was almost like when I started to sell the websites back in the day and didn't know what I was selling. I was like, people think we're going to be giving our credit cards to the computer. This is
This is crazy.
it's crazy. It's
Who
not
does
going to
that?
happen, but people are buying it, so I'll sell it. So fast forward to now. At that time, I thought it was important for me to talk to my clients and say, I don't, to your point of adaptive, I don't know what this is, but I think it's important that we set aside some time for me to understand how you're going to show up for it. And if you'll do that, it's going to cost you a little bit more money, but if I could get enough of my clients to do it, and I can move the ball forward to all of them. And all of them said yes, which I was really, really, really pleased with. And I was really happy one day when one of them called and said, hey, I got my first client that found me through ChatGPT. And so I had the conversation with him and I was like, tell me what happened. And the accounting firm I was like, what did they search for? And we had done a lot of work around this whole concept of what you're calling like context and longer tail keywords. When we first started with him, he was like, just saying best accountant. I'm getting a lot of like H&R Block type of clients. That's not my ideal. I would like to move and talk to estate planning type clients. And so we started writing content for estate planning. I was like, tell me some questions, give me some answers. Like, what does that look like? What do they want to know? And sure enough, we did some of the things that work for SEO. So we put questions and answers out on their Google business profile. We put them on the page, and that's exactly what happened. They did a long tail search. They had the answer to the question. The client read the answer on GPT, but was like, wow, this is thorough. I want to learn more. Click the link, ended up on the page, and just felt like this company must be knowledgeable, and I'm going to give them a call, and they won the client. All that to say, is that what you're seeing that people will need to do to show up for these, or is there some other secret sauce where we need to write words in white on the paper? Like,
Not that trick again, but every location in America. No, look, it's answer the question. I'm kind of saving it, but I'm going to say it now. Is that this starts with strategy? Okay, is like, so what is my product strategy? What is my communication strategy? What's my differentiation? Why does somebody choose my product over another product? Why does somebody choose my service over another one? Okay, so ideal customer persona, brand values, all these types of things, all these types of research, which often doesn't happen with a traditional agency, traditional optimization. It's all about the keyword. It's that, how high can I get that, and this is what matters, because this will inform not what, but how and why somebody will want that content. And so it starts with strategy. It starts with knowing your customer. And I was fortunate enough to work in sort of qualitative research a number of years ago as well. And, one of the concepts that I learned there was about your non-customer. And I think it's a fascinating way, is that we're constantly looking at, so which customers don't you want? Which customers are not choosing you? Is that something you want to happen or not happen? And going through that framework of real discovery and really looking for points that will differentiate. You said it there, estate planning, it's like, okay, so that's important. If somebody says, I'm looking for a tax advisor to help me with my estate planning, then, you just hit the mother load, haven't you? I live in X, Y, and Z, and, I've had a bad experience with blah, so, this is the richness, and it's just getting richer, because now that voice mode, advanced voice mode, particularly in ChatGPT and Google, is so good, is that whole conversations will be emerging, right? And it's going to be talking back and clarifying. It's going to, through the memory function in ChatGPT and Google and in Copilot, it's going to know some of your preferences, right? And this is going to be much more conversational, which ties straight into voice search, right? Voice search is about to go through the biggest seismic change in the history of voice search, because these advanced voice modes are coming to your Alexa, are already at Alexa. Not so good yet, but it will get better. Google Assistant, same thing. And no doubt Siri will eventually get a brain in order to do this via ChatGPT to do it. So it is, but Apple, they're never the first mover, but they're always a very solid performer when they deliver. So I don't mind the wait as long as it delivers. But these form of conversational, the FAQs, answering the questions, and this is where user generated content is so powerful, because as I didn't say, my earliest beginnings in SEO is that I used to coin the phrase the language of your audience. And this is kind of what you get in UGC, just when people are writing prompts, is that I think we have this idea that they're writing in Queen's English. They're going, hey, mate, where's the local pub? Is it down the road or is it up the road? That's my worst Cockney accent. So
that's pretty good.
So in essence, is that we have this view that it's this perfect thing. Of course, the large language model will interpret it, but if it can match that sort of language online, I strongly believe that it will prefer that content over the perfect English that we think everybody talks in. So UGC, user generated content. Very, very powerful for traditional search, and I would argue that AI trusts people more than it trusts marketers.
What I find amazing is that when people type into a Google search, and it's changing, obviously, based, I think, more because of AI, but it's usually these truncated little non-sentences, yet when you go to AI, you write not a paragraph, but many times a paragraph, and it doesn't bother the person to do that. They have no problem. It's like they already know they're conversing, as opposed to expecting a search, or and so what you're just saying, fits right in that the next logical step is just speaking into whatever. Maybe it's whatever it is, your earbud or your glasses or whatever it is you're going to speak into, or the little chip in your brain. But it's conversational.
More real than it ever was. Yeah. It is called conversational AI.
Right. And so you're talking to a friend or you're a colleague or whatever. And so but then it's so much richer with context.
Yeah.
That it allows you to get that answer faster.
Right.
Without as many clicks, so to speak.
Yeah. So, and also maybe your end product as well, because if you're researching a product, a service, B2B, B2C, you're going to at least have 3 that you're interested in, or there's a specific one that you're interested in, and you'll go down that route. But it's just getting more and more powerful and more pervasive. Is that I'll give you a use case here, is that we're not really seeing it yet, but it's coming. It's AI in your car. Right, is that you might be doing it via your phone, but AI, ChatGPT and Google, they've been doing deals with car manufacturers around the world, and they'll be using. At the moment, they're doing it to make Have you ever, when you receive your car and it's got this lovely manual, or maybe not your car, Kelly, but it traditionally is that you would get this, sort of manual that you would stick in your glove box and never be able to decipher. So is that now you can just talk to, the console, and it will give you an answer where the fuse is, what fuse do you need?
Yeah.
Do you want me to get one delivered for you now? Do you need roadside? We've kind of see it a bit, through, the various like General Motors sort of OnStar or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But this is going to go way further, way further.
The interesting thing, I remember being in a class the other day, and I don't know how true, I didn't research it, but it blew my mind. But they were saying that like the different maps, some of these map services that we use, the reason you might like some over others is that they sold some of the routes to different places. So for instance, if you're Starbucks and you could say they were approached by some of them and said, hey, we'd like to put you on our map. And then they noticed that they paid a certain amount. And instead of taking this right, it tells you to go down the street, and they picked up volume. And they picked up volume that way. Like I said,
I'm telling you, it's happening for sure. I was visiting my mom this weekend. I visit mom every weekend. She's approaching 90. And she's always upset that all the cars coming across the street. So this is a street I grew up on. She's right. Like I've been watching the pattern. The amount of cars that go up our street. We grew up on a quiet street. Not anymore.
Yeah.
So to Kelly's point, the only thing I can think of is the tools that are available to people now, AI tools, in terms of making their routes as efficient as possible and optimizing them, are causing traffic to go up our street.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I can categorically, I can tell you is that GPS or driving directions type thing is doing it, because they sample the nodes. Is that we're all nodes, our phones, whether you Waze or something like that, and they'll know that you're going from A to B. And they're just doing a differential. One takes 5 minutes, the other takes 20. Which one? People often in their directions, in their settings, they say they want the fastest route. It's doing what you've asked it.
It's doing what you asked it to do. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's funny because it just reminds me of, sorry, John.
No problem.
That Office episode, and then you start to not, like, you trust the GPS over yourself. Remember, they ended up in that.
Drive into a lake?
In the lake.
Yeah. Well, back then in my Shell days is that I said GPS will save marriages. So,
it definitely saved ours.
So that's funny. I remember writing that.
That's hilarious.
I believe it.
We used to play hockey on that street, Canada being a crazy hockey nation, and we would play maybe for like 15, 20-minute intervals, and then we would finally yell car, and then we'd have to take a break and then play again. And so, that's impossible now for these kids on that street. Sorry I interrupted. Yeah, you're about to say something, Seamus.
We used to think of the car as being the dark side of the moon for marketing. The only way to get in there was via radio. That's no longer, or it will no longer be the case.
That's right.
That Google Maps and navigation, as you said, get Starbucks into your car. This is going to become, and with autonomous and semi-autonomous driving, even more so, because then other content can permeate that dark side of the moon that we used to view it as.
That's right.
It's that's where I know we talked about local SEO, but I do believe is that maps is a major part of local SEO.
Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online?
The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.